up, Joe.
Thank you for the chance to talk this afternoon on human behaviour change and its role in addressing lameness in working Romanian horses and donkeys. My name's Jo White, and my colleague, Dr. Eva Duggan, I would like to thank her for her involvement in the project and her collaboration in the paper that was submitted for the presentation. I'm going to talk just very, very briefly on the situation and welfare analysis, just the key points, before moving on to look at some evidence-based behaviour change theory that we've used in terms of developing our project. So looking at the situation on the ground in Romania, there's 600 to 800,000 horses. Around 80% of those are working equidae. Some of the factors that need to be taken into account are the high levels of poverty and lack of education, and an absence of strong positive role models within the rural community, as well as a loss of traditional knowledge and an apathy related to a lack of opportunity. European Commission report 2016 highlighted the importance of farming within the rural communities. However, it's still very much done on a small level from a point of view of the farms are small, it's subsistence and semi-subsistence farming. And we're looking at an ageing population with about 41% of agricultural holders being over 64 years. In terms of the sorts of things we're seeing, if I can get the technology to work, it's just a very common observation that we see is in terms of the sorts of levels of lameness amongst the working horse population. I do apologise for the shaky camera work, that's my fault. But it just gives you an idea of the sorts of issues we see on the ground on a regular occurrence. So what we've done is we've used Triandus' model, his theory of interpersonal behaviour, to help us analyse and look at the behaviour. So taking the behaviour in terms of the behaviour that we're looking to change, first of all, and this is jumping, oh, this is not quite working how it was meant to. There's some pictures missing, unfortunately. Okay, so what was meant to happen here on the behaviour in terms of hoof trim and shoe, we were meant to have a nice picture of the issues that we're seeing, which are to do with raised heels and raised toes, which are causing issues in terms of lameness. The issues to do with poor foot balance and handling, which relates to the current behaviour. What we're trying to do is move over to a pro-welfare behaviour so that there is good shoeing, trimming and handling techniques. If we, I don't know if I can get the flasher to work, if we look at this from a point of view of the factors that feed into this behaviour, so for example, taking cognitive factors in terms of experience values, I had a nice picture that was overloading that, which was of one of the shoes which is causing a problem from a point of view that they are using that because there is a belief that it's about grip, which they need when it's very snowy. However, they're actually using them all year round. My social factors picture had a nice thing in terms of the relationship of people in a group situation. So from the social factors, it's those influences, so the farrier sees themselves as if that's their role within the community and this is how they approach it. The personal factors, I had a nice picture of a horse owner just having had their horse shod. And from a point of view, it's that emotional relationship where the farrier feels that they have done a good job and that the owner has actually paid them for their work, and there's a positive situation there. Obviously, if you're looking at from a point of view of behavioural change, that may introduce some conflict between the owner and the farrier from a point of view of that relationship. So it's also factors that we need to take into account. In terms of facilitating conditions, I had a nice group picture of people learning and training, and that was from a point of view of looking at the facilitating conditions for the behaviour that we're looking to change, but also the behaviour that we want to see. So, for example, it was a training situation from a point of view of providing people with that opportunity. I think this is a key point, which is in terms of intention to do the behaviour, and this is one of the reasons we chose this model, was because it's about recognising what motivates that person to actually change their behaviour and move and actually undertake the behaviour in the first place. So there was a picture of the financial exchange. So the current situation, the farrier gets paid for the work they're doing. We would obviously clearly need to think, and this is a factor we're trying to address, is actually improving hoof care going to be enough of a drive from a point of view of a sound horse? One of the questions we're trying to look at the moment is there a clear recognition that these horses, that there is a problem with lameness in the first place? So we need to, from a point of view of looking at that intention, what will motivate those horse owners and farriers to change? Ultimately, we're looking to get the new behaviour in place of pro-welfare trimming, shoeing and handling. But one of the really important factors here is the role of habit. And it's something that through working through these models has become very clear to me that habit is essential from a point of view of achieving sustainability. So we want to see how we can make that behaviour last in the long term. This also had some lovely pictures, but thankfully this was explained a little bit earlier by one of the other speakers in terms of the role of the stages of change model by Prochaska, De Clement and Norcross. We have got two groups that we're working with, pre-contemplation in terms of the semi-subsistence and subsistence farmers and users of horses who are between that stage of pre-contemplation and contemplation, and some are still in pre-contemplation. So it's about how we can help them and encourage them to move through the stages. But we are working with another group who are attending workshops in terms of farriers, vets, and owners. And they have moved through from pre-contemplation to contemplation. They're thinking about what they can do to change. They've put plans and they're putting preparation in place from a point of view of looking at what's available to them from a training perspective. They've taken the action in terms of attending workshops and looking at the training. What we've got to try and achieve is that they don't relapse back to the way they were doing things previously, but they maintain that behaviour. And ultimately, we're hoping, and we're starting to work on this now, that this group who actually are engaged with the process can be the future role models to those that are still in pre-contemplation. So trying to build those role models within the community. So I apologise for the lack of pictures. But just the key points I would like to just emphasise are, I think, the importance of just picking on one or two behaviours, and that's something that's very clear to us in terms of actually being able to deliver something positive and a strong outcome. The role of habit, maintenance within behaviour change, and obviously each model has its limitations, but we've actually found through going through this process, it's given us a different viewpoint. So through using two different theories, it's given us sort of insights that have been very useful in designing the project. Thank you very much.